Now, what will happen on the Day of Judgment? We find out from the Holy Quran that a horn will be blown twice. The first time when it will be blown, it will cause devastation across the earth and every living thing will die. Man, jinn, animals, everyone will die. No one will live when the first time the horn is blown. The second time when the horn is blown, they will be raised up. Their souls will be raised up. Their souls and those souls of man and jinn for all time. From the time of Adam alayhi salam. All of mankind, all of jinn will be raised up on that day. And it will be a day when men will be like scattered moths, roaming around frantically everywhere in panic, not knowing what to do because everyone will be worried for themselves. Because now the truth is upon us. Now that day is here, which was prophesied, which we were told about again and again. And now that day is finally here. Now what is going to happen? You will be held accountable for every single thing that you've done in your life. People will not care for one another. Mothers will leave their children, brothers will leave their brothers, fathers, their daughters, everyone will be fending for themselves. Nobody will care for anybody else because everyone will want to save his own skin on that day. This day in the Holy Quran is known as Yawm al-Qiyamah. It is also known as Yawm al-Furuj, or the day that we are expelled from the earth. It is also known as Yawm al-Hasra, or the day of regret. The day when mankind will regret and want to go back to the dunya to fix everything. That please give us one more chance. Please give us one more chance to fix our affairs. We did not know that this day would come this soon. We thought we had time, but we didn't. So it is a day of regret. It is also known as Yawm ad-Din, the day you get paid. Paid for the good that you did and paid for the bad that you did. There will be your hisab. It is also known as Yawm al-Akhir, the last and final day. On this day, we will see the balance of your good deeds versus the balance of your bad deeds. If your good deeds were more, you will get your book of accounts in your right hand. If your bad deeds were more, you will get your book of accounts in your left hand. And your book of accounts will contain each and every single thing that you've done, whether in secret or openly, whether good or bad. And you will not be able to deny anything. The truth will be visible to you, very clearly. And based on that, whether you get your book of accounts in your right hand or your left hand, you will go into either heaven or hell. Now, we'll begin to describe heaven and hell now. Although, like I said in the beginning of the talk, the details are a lot. There are so many things that we can talk about. So we'll try to summarize it and get to the essence of heaven and hell so that we see what do they actually consist of. I would also need your imaginations here in trying to understand what the Quran tells us about hell. We will do the same exercise inshallah for Jannah as well, for paradise. Now, hell, or what is known in Arabic as Jahanum, comes from an Arabic word which has several meanings, including a stern look, a fierce look, or darkness, or a storm cloud. So Jahannam therefore is a place which is scary, dark and unfriendly. The Quran describes Jahannam as a blazing fire, using vivid imagery as a warning to those who disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is one of the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the point is not to fear hell, the point is to fear the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the point is to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just like if you are in a house and the house catches on fire, you don't necessarily fear the fire, you fear if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will save you or if by His will you will die in that fire. Because the fire is in direct control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is one of His creations. In the same way, hell is in direct control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and it's a creature of Allah which has certain attributes. The attributes also include that it has the ability to speak, it has the ability to feel anger and fury. As Allah Ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Mulk, chapter 67, verses 6 to 8, for those who reject their Lord is the penalty of hell, and evil is this destination. When they are cast therein, they will hear the terrible drawing in of its breath, even as it blazes forth, almost bursting with fury. Whenever a group is cast into it, its keeper shall ask them, did there not come to you a warner? So from this verse we understand that like a raging bull, hell will be furious and anxious to get all the disbelievers inside itself and to punish them for what they did in this dunya. Allah Ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Furqan chapter 25 verse 12, when it, that is hell, sees them from a far place, they will hear its raging and roaring. In Surah Kaf chapter 50 verse 30, Allah Ta'ala mentions, on the day when we will say to hell, are you filled? Hell will reply back saying, are there any more to come? So the answer of hell is simple. If you have more people, I can accommodate. Keep sending them. The disbelievers, the one who rejected the signs of Allah, who made fun of the religion, who chose not to follow it, who chose to follow their own course, who were arrogant, and so many other things. Hell is waiting. Now both paradise and hell have different levels. The lower levels in hell, the lower you go, the greater the intensity of punishment, the greater the level of heat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to the levels of paradise and hell in the Holy Quran in Surah Al-An'am chapter 6 verse 132. For all there will be degrees or ranks according to what they did. So whatever you did, you will have ranks, certain levels. If you look at it and try to stack up heaven and hell together, heaven is on the top and hell is at the bottom. And there is a person who's on the topmost level of paradise, enjoying the maximum benefits, and then less benefits, less until hell begins. And then when hell starts, the person right at the top of hell has got the minimum punishment. And as you go lower in hell, the punishment starts to get more severe. So based on how you live your life in this world, you will be in any one of these slots. Allah Ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Isra chapter 17 verse 21, so how we prefer one above another in this world, and verily the hereafter will be greater in degrees and greater in preference. So as Allah Ta'ala prefers people, favors people, blesses people in this world, in the same way the intensity of that increases in the hereafter. Because here you are believing in the unseen. There you have seen everything, you have come to the truth. That is the difference. Now there are variations, like I said, in the degrees, in the levels of hell, and in the inhabitants that go in those levels. Allah Ta'ala mentions, for example, in Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, verse 145, verily, the hypocrites will be in the lowest depths of fire. So here, at least we know that the hypocrites, those who pose to be righteous, pious, God-fearing people, but are actually not, will be in the worst position in hell, the lowest depths of hell. Similarly, it mentions in Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 162 to 163. Is then one who follows the good pleasure of Allah, like the one who draws on himself the wrath of Allah? His abode is hell, and worst indeed is that destination. There are varying grades with Allah, and hell is, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all seer of what they do. So even in this verse, Allah Ta'ala tells us about the various grades that are there in hell. Now if you look at a hadith from the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, it is from the Sahih Bukhari, where the Holy Prophet talked about the best level, if you can call it that, in hell. The level in hell where the punishment will be minimum. And that person will be none other than Abu Talib, the uncle of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. He was a person who raised the Holy Prophet, protected him from the Quraysh, but never accepted Islam. even on his deathbed, when the Holy Prophet asked him to accept Islam, to believe, he refused. Because he was too arrogant, he wanted to stick to the beliefs of his forefathers, and he did not want to disgrace them. That my forefathers believed in such and such, so I don't want to accept. I know you are a prophet, I think you might be, but I don't want to believe it because I don't want to disgrace my forefathers. So he, till his death, did not accept Islam. So he is the one who will get the minimum punishment, possibly because of the way he took care of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. And the Holy Prophet mentioned that he will wear sandals of fire that will boil his brain over and over and over again. This is the minimum punishment.